Hola clase. I am just in module 8 right now, and we are taking our test for next class. So it's due by Monday at 11:59 p.m. You're also going to start looking at the objectives for chapter 3 and just getting ready for the first vocab section. So that's going to be coming up. Right now, I'm going to access this Hoja de Repaso Capítulo 2. It's the review sheet for chapter 2. So if you want to open that and just fill it in as I talk to you during the class, this is a model for what the test is going to look like. So if you want to pause and grab that, you can. I have it here ready for you already. So basically, for this first section here, this is very similar to the test where it says, escribe una frase que corresponde a lo que escuchas. Write a sentence that corresponds to what you hear. So the first one might say something like, Alicia trabaja en un restaurante. Alicia trabaja en un restaurante. So we're saying that Alicia works in a restaurant. What we want to do is we need to write a sentence about what Alicia might do. So I'm looking at the verb cocinar here. And so let's say that maybe Alicia cooks in the restaurant. So what would you write for that? Here I would write Alicia cocina en un restaurante. So for número dos, I might say something like, no tengo un coche. No tengo un coche. I don't have a car. So what could you write for that one? Since caminar is to walk, we might use that. And I said, yo no tengo un coche. So for this one, I might say, yo camino a la universidad. And then for number 3, we could say something like, soy muy sociable. Soy muy sociable. So which verb could we use to talk about being sociable or social? Or if we said nosotros somos sociables, let's use nosotros. For this, we could say nosotros hablamos mucho. We talk a lot. So basically, you're trying to make a sentence that corresponds to what you're going to hear in the audio and what idea is being relayed there. So that's part 1. All right, next you have relaciones familiares. So you want to basically say the relationships between people. So here we have Pablo is the person that we're looking at. We want to know what Amelia's relationship is to Pablo. So probably in this case, it's going to be his cousin because I'm looking and it looks like Isabel is his aunt and then Javier is his uncle with Elena and Amelia is his cousin. So we would have to say es su prima or es la prima de Pablo. You could also say es su prima. And then Lola, you would probably say something like es la abuela de Pablo or es su abuela. So that's going to be the same section as what you're seeing here. Las clases, write the name of the class that corresponds to each description. Don't forget to include the article like el or la or los or las. So in the model we see, en esta clase estudiamos los animales y las plantas. And so we said la clase de biología. So you just want to know different classes that associate with the ideas here. So here we have, en número 1, esta clase estudiamos Sócrates. And he was a philosopher, so probably we're in philosophy. So here we would say la clase de filosofía. Just watch your spelling on those as much as you can. Tomamos esta clase en un laboratorio y usamos microscopios. Okay, so for that one, we would probably say la clase de química. En esta clase, los estudiantes estudian las plantas y los animales. So we would probably say es la clase de biología. Again, that was a repeat. En esta clase aprendemos sobre los gobiernos, como las dictaduras, las democracias y las repúblicas. So I'm going to say this is more like economics class. So we can say la clase de economía. There might be other classes. We could say gobierno, la clase de gobierno, which is government. Just looking here to see if there's anything else. Maybe you learn about that in la clase de negocios too, which is business. So there's 3 different things we could write there. So that's that section. So the next section we have is Lorena and her brother Lucas bought school supplies. She is answering a friend's questions about who owns each item. Complete their conversation by writing her answers. Be sure to use the possessive adjectives me or tu or su. Remember, we also have nuestro or vuestro, our or y'all's, and also su or sus if it's ustedes or ellos, like their. So, okay, número 1, or the modelo says, ¿de quién es el mapa? And it's de Lorena. So, actually, this should be Lorena. Let's change this to Lorena. So, Lorena says, es mi mapa, because it's Lorena's. So here it says, ¿de quién es la mochila? And she's saying it's my friend's. So in this case, we want to say it's their mochila. So in this case, it would be son es, not son es su mochila. It's their backpack. ¿De quién es el libro? And she's trying to say it's my girlfriend's. So you want to say it's her book. In this case, it would be es su libro. ¿De quiénes son las clases? Whose classes are they? And in this case, we want to say they are our classes. So remember, with that one, we can have nuestro, we can have nuestra, we can have nuestros, or nuestras to say our. Those are 4 different ways. So with clases, it's going to be feminine and plural. What would it be? In this case, it would be nuestras clases. They are our classes. ¿De quién es el cuarto? The room. We're saying it's your room because it's T, your. So we want to say it's your room. And we would say es tu cuarto. Your room. So remember, tu or tus are 2 ways to say your. Next section, we have nuestras actividades. Using an appropriate verb from the word banks, complete the sentences describing what you and your friends do. Don't forget to conjugate the verb according to who does the action. So we have 5 different verbs here. Mis amigos, un coche a la universidad. So we probably want to use manejar, which is to drive. And we want to conjugate that according to mis amigos, which is ellos. So for this one, it would be manejan because it's they drive. Remember your endings for these verbs. We have o for I, as for you, a for he or she. This is our 6-pack. Amos for we. We're going to take off our AR first and then add these endings. Ais for y'all if you're vosotros, and an for they. So you first take off the AR, and then you're going to add the endings according to who the subject is. So it's AN for they. Yo, la música rap en mi dormitorio. So I would say yo escucho. So I'm taking off the AR. I'm left with escuch. I'm adding the O. Escucho la música de rap en mi dormitorio. Señora Cordiale, la clase de español. I'm going to say here that Señora Cordiale teaches the Spanish class. Take off your AR. You're going to add A because it's ella or she or Señora Cordiale. So that's going to be enseña la clase de español. Nosotros necesitamos. Be careful with this one because we're now saying that we need to study for the exam for chapter 2. So because we're saying to study, we're not going to conjugate that verb. We're going to leave it in the infinitive form. So what would it be to say we need to study? It would just be estudiar. Necesitamos estudiar para el examen. We need to study. Mi músico favorito, Eminem. We want to say Eminem canta muy bien because he sings very well. So canta because Eminem's one male, and that's going to be A. All right, so here we have ¿cuál es la mejor combinación? So would we say hay muchas personas or hay personas muchas en el centro comercial? Muchas personas is better whenever we have an adjective of quantity, like varios or muchos or pocos. It usually goes before our noun. Número dos, la clase de español es difíciles or difícil? Because it's one class, it's going to be difícil. El mapa azul or el azul mapa está en la clase. Usually nouns or adjectives go after nouns, and in this case, it would be mapa azul because azul comes after mapa. Número cuatro, en los países, hispanos países or países hispanos, la comida es muy rica. So again, same reason, because hispanos is an adjective. Usually adjectives go be after your noun with those exceptions of the quantity like muchos or pocos or varios. So in this case, hispanos is your adjective and it should go after your noun países. And this is the same. It looks like I repeated it. So let's go to the next one. So we've studied tener expressions. Remember tener calor, to be hot, tener miedo, to be fearful, tener sed, to be thirsty, tener éxito, to be successful, tener prisa, to be in a hurry, and tener sueño, to be tired. And don't forget, you have to know how to conjugate tener. It's tengo. And what's the next one? What's for two? It's tienes. What about el, ella, usted? Tiene, nosotros, tenemos, vosotros, tenéis. And make sure that these are in your notes if you don't have it. And then tienen is they have. So that's they have. Y'all have. If you're from Spain, we have. This is the same as the usual, sticks back. Tengo, I have. Tienes, you have. And tiene, he or she or you, formal. Okay. So those are our conjugations for tener. Tener is to have. Okay, so hace 100 grados, nosotros, what would we say here for hace? It's 100 degrees. Nosotros tenemos calor. We're hot. Hay un monstruo en el video. There's a monster in the video. Yo tengo miedo. I am afraid. Oprah Winfrey tiene un valor neto de 2.7 billones de dólares. So 2.7, she has a net worth. So ella tiene éxito. She is successful. All right. This last section, el primer semestre de clases, describe each of your classes, including who the professor is and what school subjects you need for each class. Then state which course is the hardest, the easiest, and which is your favorite and why. Use at least 2 verbs from each word bank. So you want to use 4 verbs total. So let's try this now. So let's just start with maybe en mi clase de, and then you can pick the class. En mi clase de something. El or la profesor. So if you have your notes, if you could just write this down in your notebook, just so you're writing a paragraph with me. Es, or you could say se llama, and then the name. So we can say para esta clase, for this class, necesito. What do you need? You can just say the things you need. Just list out the school subjects or the school supplies. Maybe 2 or 3. And then maybe you talk about a different, en mi clase de another class. And then if it's a male, you would say el profesor es. If it's a female, you would say la profesora es. And then you want to say, and then again, you're saying para esta clase necesito. And then you say what you need. You could say, then if we're talking about the most difficult, oh, sorry. In this case, we probably should use enseña. So we could say this person enseña la clase. So you want to say that they teach. So we're using that. And then for the school supplies, we probably should change this to para esta clase necesito comprar. Let's add comprar there. I need to buy, just so that we know that it's comprar too. And then en mi clase de blank, la profesora es, and you can say blank enseña la clase. Whoever it is that teaches that class, so put the person's name. Para esta clase necesito comprar. I need to buy. And then you put your school supplies again. And then we could say mi clase más difícil es la clase de, so your most difficult class. And then maybe you say estudio muchas horas. I study many hours. So you're using estudio. Mi clase menos difícil es, and then you can say what class is your most least difficult. And then maybe tell me why. Okay, and that's that section. So you're just writing a little paragraph. Here you have a cultura section. So look at this, read this over a little bit. You want to just have this knowledge. The largest universities in the world is called UNAM. And the university is so large that the applicants use to take their admission exam in the sports stadium. Currently, the exam is administered in many different places. It's considered to be one of the best universities in the world. You just may need this for your culture section. The Central University City campus of UNAM is one of the 3 universities in the world that is designated as a World Heritage Site by UNESCO, designed by over 60 architects, engineers, and artists. So just read through that. And then there is one other section that you should review. It's called Entrando en Materia. And I'm going to go to that now so you can take a look at it. So I am in your ebook right now. If you want to turn to this section, I'm in the in vivo section of Capítulo 2. It comes right after the AR verbs. So if you want to go there just to be with me where I am. And there's some audio here. So we're talking about celebras tú el Día de la Madre? Do you celebrate Mother's Day? So we want to look at the vocabulary here. You are going to hear a fragment of a radio show. Listen carefully as the announcers discuss some special days. So we have fecha fija, we have mayo, we have junio, we have razón, and we have tercer domingo. So we're trying to figure out if these statements are true or false. Hoy es 30 de mayo. Today is the 30th of May. El 30 de mayo es el Día del Padre en Nicaragua. In Nicaragua no celebran el Día de la Suegra, so they don't celebrate the mother-in-law's day. En Argentina, el Día de la Suegra es el 17 de octubre. And in Perú, Colombia y Ecuador no celebran el Día del Padre. So let's just go through and listen to this.
En vivo, celebrando a la familia. Buenos días, bienvenidos a su programa de radio por la mañana. Hoy es 30 de mayo y celebramos el Día de la Madre en Nicaragua. Buenos días, Francisco. ¿Vas a celebrar con tu mamá?
Claro que sí. Mis hermanos y yo siempre comemos en un restaurante con mi mamá. ¿Y tú?
Sí, nosotros también celebramos con mi mamá, pero en nuestra casa. También celebramos en nuestra casa el Día de la Suegra.
¿Cuándo es el Día de la Suegra?
Bueno, nosotros celebramos el Día de la Suegra el 17 de octubre, porque mi suegra es de Chile. Aquí en Nicaragua no celebramos, pero en otros países sí, aunque en diferentes fechas. Por ejemplo, en Argentina es el 26 de octubre.
Interesante. Es como el Día del Padre porque se celebra en fechas diferentes en varios países.
Exacto. El Día del Padre aquí en Nicaragua es el 23 de junio, pero en muchos países no es una fecha fija. Por ejemplo, en Perú, Colombia, Ecuador y Puerto Rico es el tercer domingo de junio.
Siempre hay una razón para celebrar con la familia.
So again, we're looking to find out if hoy es el 30 de mayo. We're listening for el 30 de mayo es el Día del Padre in Nicaragua. Is that true or false? So you're just trying to figure out all of these at once as we're listening. 3, en Nicaragua no celebran el Día de la Suegra. 4, en Argentina el Día de la Suegra es el 17 de octubre. And in Perú, Colombia, y Ecuador no celebran el Día del Padre. I'm going to play that again.
Celebrando a la familia. Buenos días. Bienvenidos a su programa de radio por la mañana. Hoy es 30 de mayo y celebramos el Día de la Madre en
So they just said hoy es el 30 de mayo, so that would be verdad for that first one.
Nicaragua. Buenos días, Francisco.
And they also said celebramos el Día de la Madre en Nicaragua. So actually 30 de mayo for número 2 should be falso. And what would we change that to be correct? We should have changed it to es el Día de la Madre, so not Día del Padre.
Francisco, ¿vas a celebrar con tu mamá?
Claro que sí. Mis hermanos y yo siempre comemos en un restaurante con mi mamá. ¿Y tú?
Sí, nosotros también celebramos con mi mamá, pero en nuestra casa. También celebramos en nuestra casa el Día de la Suegra.
So she said, también en nuestra casa celebramos el Día de la Suegra. For número 3, en Nicaragua no celebran el Día de la Suegra. What should we change that to be correct? Oh, no. Okay, that would be, we would just get rid of the no. So just be celebran el Día de la Suegra.
¿Cuándo es el Día de la Suegra?
Bueno, nosotros celebramos el Día de la Suegra el 17 de octubre, porque mi suegra es de Chile. Aquí en Nicaragua no celebramos, pero en otros países sí, aunque en diferentes...
So actually going back to 3, she said aquí en Nicaragua no celebramos. So they don't celebrate it. The reason they're celebrating it is because they do in other countries.
fechas. Por ejemplo, en Argentina es el 26 de octubre.
So for número 4, in Argentina, we shouldn't change that to what to be correct. Instead of 17 de octubre, it should be 26 de octubre. That's when they celebrate it.
Interesante. Es como el Día del Padre porque se celebra en fechas diferentes en varios países.
Exacto.
So in varios países, in various countries, el Día del Padre se celebra en días diferentes, in different days.
El Día del Padre aquí en Nicaragua es el 23 de junio, pero en muchos países no es una fecha fija. Por
No es una fecha fija, it's not a fixed date, they're telling you.
ejemplo, en Perú, Colombia, Ecuador y Puerto Rico es el tercer domingo de junio.
Okay, so they said es el tercer domingo that we have here de junio. So in Peru, Colombia, y Ecuador, what would we change that to be correct? We should just get rid of the no because they do celebrate it. So in Peru, Colombia, y Ecuador celebran el Día del Padre. Okay, so that's it. Those are just some basic dates to know for the quiz. If you are test, I apologize. And also just review that listening a little bit if you can in your ebook. And that's it. Adios, chicos y chicas, mujeres y hombres. Hablamos pronto. Please let me know if you have any questions.